Okay, welcome back. This is chapter 5 of How to Lose Weight and Keep It Off Forever by Reprogramming Your Mind. And in this chapter, we're going to focus on habits. Now, habits is anything that you do pretty much unconsciously, something that you do that your subconscious mind does. In the beginning of this, when I did the introduction, I said I made you write out a commitment statement, stating that you were going to commit this and make sure that you do this for at least 21 days. I want you to do it forever, but make a commitment to doing it for 21 days. And the reason I use that number 21 is because it has been shown that if you do something repetitively for 21 days, it becomes a habit. So I want you to reprogram your mind by doing the things that I'm going to show you in the next chapter, starting in the next chapter, on how to reprogram your mind. I need you to do it for at least 21 days so that these things can become a habit. And a habit, again, is something that you do subconsciously. Now, the thing about a habit that you have to understand, if you want to break a bad habit, you want to break a bad habit and turn it into a good habit, you have to replace that bad habit with something. And if you don't replace it with something, your subconscious mind will replace it automatically with something, because a bad habit has to be replaced with a good habit. That's why when you reprogram your mind, you have to eliminate the old information and replace it with new information. Again, we're going to go back to comparing it to computer. When you have a computer, and let's say you delete something off the computer, that information stays on the computer. It doesn't go anywhere. It stays there. That's how come. Have you ever watched these like Criminal Minds and those type of shows where they have detectives or FBI agents? They get a person's computer. Even if the person erases it off the computer, it'll still be on the computer. And what happens is it rewrites. Like if you start putting more information, the new information that you put on the computer rewrites over the old information. But the old information stays there until it is rewritten over. And that's the same thing with your subconscious mind. Your subconscious, the habits and stuff that's formed in your subconscious mind, they'll stay there until you reprogramming it and wipe out the old habit and replace it, write out the old information and replace it with some new information. So that's how come when a person, a lot of times you can see this in an example of a person who smokes and then they stop smoking. And they don't replace that bad habit with a new habit. A lot of times when a person quits smoking, they gain weight because they replace one bad habit with another bad habit, because the subconscious mind is going to replace it with something. And if you don't teach it what to replace it with, if you don't wipe out that old program and replace that old program with something new, it's going to bring up some old information, or it's going to bring up something new that's just as negative and replace it with negative. So if you are a person who wants to quit smoking, here's an example of what you have to do. Like a lot of people who smoke, they say that they smoke because, they get stressed and they may pick up a cigarette to smoke because it makes them feel less stressed. Or they may eat and they want to smoke after they eat, which is just a habit. But the thing is, when you're smoking, what's actually making you feel relaxed, it's not the cigarette. The cigarette is not what's making you feel relaxed. It's the action that you're doing when you're smoking. When you smoke, you inhale, then you exhale. If you want to calm your nerves, all you have to do is inhale and exhale. So if you want to quit smoking, whenever you feel the urge to smoke, instead of doing something different, which most people say, well, I felt like I want to smoke, but I'm not going to smoke, so let me go eat something so I can get this thought out of my mind. And what you're doing is just programming your mind that when you want a cigarette, instead of a cigarette, you're going to go eat. So you don't want to replace it with a bad habit. Just if you want to quit smoking, whenever you feel that urge to smoke, just inhale and exhale. And a cigarette probably lasts, 3 to 5 minutes? Just inhale and exhale for 3 to 5 minutes. So you're rewriting over that bad programming. That when I feel this way, when I feel the desire to have a cigarette, I'm going to inhale and exhale instead. So your subconscious mind has something to replace it with. The same thing with food. The good thing about replacing it with food is that you already know what to replace it with. You replace it with better choices in food. That's it. So for example, if you're hungry and you want to snack, instead of getting, eating 20 donuts or eating 20 cookies, getting some Oreo cookies and sitting in front of TV, and the next thing you know, you ate 20 of them, which is something I used to do. You get 20 grapes instead. So instead of, when you get that hunger urge, instead of reaching for cookies, you reach for a healthy snack instead. You replace a unhealthy food with a healthier food. So that's how you change the habit. So your body will pick up a habit of, instead of eating food that's not beneficial to me, I'm going to eat food that is beneficial to me. And if you do this for 21 days, you'll pick up a habit. And that habit will be, I'm hungry, but instead of picking up, Suzy Q chocolate vanilla filled cupcake, I'm gonna pick up an apple or orange instead, because I replaced this old habit with a new habit. But you have to replace a habit with something else. And what you want to replace it with is the thing that you want to do, the positive thing that you want to do. The same thing with your thoughts. If you're having negative thoughts, and a person who constantly have negative thoughts, once you become aware of that negative thought, which was your assignment, and the last thing was to become aware of your thoughts and and be conscious of when you're having negative thoughts and replace them with positive thoughts. That's what you have to do. When you have a negative thought, you have to replace it with a positive thought. Let me give you an example. Let's say you have the thought that, oh, I'll never lose weight. I'm a fat pig and I'm going to always be fat. I know this. You have that thought because growing up, people called you fat. Growing up, people may have made fun of you because you were fat. So you have these emotions attached to being overweight. So when you want to replace it, you may have the thought of, oh, this is never going to work for me because I'm fat. Well, when that thought comes, you have to automatically, instantly replace it and say, that's not true. I'm a creator. I can create my own life. And right now, I am not fat. I am thin, I am in shape, and I'm going to do everything in my power to remain that way. I do everything in my power to remain that way. So you have to stop that thought, that negative thought, and you have to replace it with a positive thought. Anytime. And that's why it's so important to become conscious of every single thought that you have, because you're going to have that thought like, okay, I can eat this donut right now. It's not going to cause me any kind of problem. And then you'll eat that donut, which might be 2,000 calories, and then you eat additional food and be healthy for the rest of the day. But if you get on the scale, you may not have lost weight, you might even have gained weight, because your body is going to start craving that sugar again, and it's going to start, your subconscious mind is going to start going after, saying, hey, you need that sugar, we need that sugar, we need that sugar, because it's been programmed to believe that it needs that sugar. So you can't switch up and say, okay, I can do this one donut here, because then you start the whole process all over again. You have to start reprogramming your mind all over again. So that's why I'm saying, give me 21 days, a habit of 21 days, because in 21 days, you can change that whole thought process. You can change the whole thought process from needing that sweets to not needing the sweets. So when a thought comes up, you have to replace it with a positive thought. You have to be conscious of your thoughts. You have to be conscious of your emotions. You have to be conscious of your feelings. You have to be conscious of your beliefs. You have to be conscious, because your conscious thing is what kicks into the subconscious mind. Any repetition of a thought that you have consistently in your conscious mind will eventually go to your subconscious mind, and your subconscious mind will make sure that it brings that thing into fruition and make sure that it does everything in its power through hell or high water to bring it back. So if you want to keep the weight off, you have to be conscious of your mind. If you hear yourself telling you that you're fat or that you can't do this, you have to stop that thought immediately. Do not let that thought make its way back to your subconscious mind. You cannot. You have to stop everything to make sure that that thought never, ever gets down into your subconscious mind. You want to change it instantly and tell yourself, that's the way I used to think, but that's not the way I think now. You have to stop it. I remember hearing this person, I think it was a pastor, he said, when like the doctor come to you and tell you that you have cancer, you can either accept it or you can reject it. And if you accept it, then you will start to have all the symptoms of cancer. And if you reject it, there's a possibility that you won't. And it works the same thing. And it's because everything is controlled by our subconscious mind. That's why I said to you that you can overcome diseases, because if you program yourself, if you accept things that are said to you as truth, and you have thoughts on them, and you think about this in a negative way, your subconscious mind will go through hell or high water to bring that thing into effect. So that's why it's important. Not only what you think, but the stuff that you let into your life, the things that you hear on the outside, because your subconscious mind never goes to sleep. It hears everything. It brings everything into your subconscious mind. And I'm going to ask you to do something. I'm going to ask you to form this habit. It's going to probably be hard for some people, but I'm going to ask you for the next 21 days to minimize any kind of media, social media, television, particularly television and radio. If you want to do social media, you have a little bit more control over that. But with television and radio, don't watch it. There's no need to, because television is very negative. Television is very negative, and don't watch the news. The news is the worst, because the news is only programmed to get you in fear mode. And fear is a really strong emotion. It's one of the strongest emotions. Love and fear are two strongest emotions. And if they can get you to fear, they open you up to being programmed to think a certain way. So, and that's what the news does. It's only about causing fear. And that fear seeps into your subconscious mind. It's a strong emotion. So now you have another person's thought backed by your fear, create something in your subconscious mind, and it brings about that thing into your life without you even really noticing it, because other people are now programming your mind. So if you turn off the television, and particularly news, and I know a lot of people say, well, if I don't watch the news, I'm not going to know what's going on in the world. Trust and believe. I haven't watched the news in 20 some odd years, and I know what's going on in the world, because somebody's going to tell you. If it's important enough, you're going to know about it. There's no way you're not going to know about it, whether you watch the news or not. So turn the news off. Even if you watch certain programs, you can watch the programs, but don't watch the news, seriously, because the news, and don't watch any kind of scary or fear things that put fear into you. Don't watch anything like that, because that's how you program mind. Let me just give you an example of how the mind works. Let's say you go into a horror movie, and even though you're sitting in the audience and you know that this is a movie, when something happens, like the X-Man jumps out, you jump too. And that's because your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's imagined. You are so involved and emotionally involved in that movie that when something happens, the subconscious mind feel like it's happening to you. So you jump, you're scared, and you walk out, your heart beating fast, even though you were in a movie, and you know you were in a movie, and you know this wasn't real. But that's how the subconscious mind works, because it doesn't matter what's real or what's imagined. The subconscious mind takes it as real. That's important for you to know. That's important when it comes to for habits. So again, make the commitment that for the next 21 days, you're going to do the things that I teach you to do in this program, and you're going to make it a habit. You're going to make it a habit. And when you change your thoughts, when you're consciously thinking about the thoughts, and you have to consciously think about them all the time, for the next 21 days, be consciously aware of every single thought that comes into your head. Now, there's 80,000 thoughts, up to 80,000 thoughts that you have a day. Be conscious of each of these thoughts. And when a negative thought comes into your head, cut it out. Stop it immediately. Do not let that thought seep its way into your subconscious mind, okay? So in the next part of the next chapter, what's the next chapter? 6. In that chapter, we're going to start learning how to reprogram your mind. We're going to start focus on things that teaches you how to reprogram your mind, okay? I'll see you then. Bye-bye.